This man spent $10,000 to get his entire body tattooed, including his private parts, which is interesting. So, for this ink fanatic, one tattoo was never enough. Manchester native Ray Houghton began tattooing his whole body when he was a young man in the army and never really stopped. Now, the 65-year-old has his entire body covered in tattoos, even his private parts, which cost him about $10,000 over the course of his life. And here's the thing, if people want to spend $10,000 on like tattoos, if that's what they want to do with their money, they can. Just use money that you can't afford to lose. Like, don't get tattoos if it's actually going to put you in a financial situation where now you're like struggling to like pay rent or mortgage or like your daily necessities. If it's just something that you want to save up for and have fun with or whatever because you just enjoy it, go ahead. But definitely don't put yourself in like a bad financial situation by getting a whole bunch of tattoos. The Brit told Southwest News Service that he wanted to get his penis tattooed for a while, but his regular artist refused to do it. Which, I mean, wouldn't a lot of artists refuse to do that? But once he found another ink master, Hoon got his nether regions tatted, a process which required wrapping his penis around a rolling pin. We used a rolling pin because that was the easiest way for the tattoo to be done, he explained. You can't do it on a bench or worktop. It was quite weird at first, but it made a lot of sense. It worked out perfect, really. Like, no offense. To me, I probably wouldn't want to pay someone to roll my penis with a rolling pin to pay them to tattoo it with like needles. That seems kinda dangerous. So after his 4-hour tattoo sitting on Christmas Eve 2018, Houghton said his testicles swelled up to 4 times their normal size. Like, this sounds like the Grinch Stole Christmas. Like, his heart grew 3 times the size. Like, so weird. I don't feel the pain anymore, but the tattooist couldn't believe I wanted to get such a sensitive area done, he recalled. There was quite a bit of blood, and it was uncomfortable to walk the next day. I feel like I'd just be so worried about infections. Because you have like needles going in an area that probably gets way dirtier than other areas. So it's like, ooh. So the bodybuilder admitted that he gets an enormous amount of messages on social media to see his private area. However, they don't come from women. Well, I mean, that's not really surprising because there's probably a whole bunch of dudes that are wanting to simp for this dude. So it's mostly men who gawk at him and ask to see his tatted up genitals all the time. Like, here's the thing, right? If this guy was smart to recoup some of that 10 grand, maybe he should create an OF and start charging for it because, like, why not? You're like 65, you already paid to get this stuff done. You obviously want people to see it because you got it done, or you want people to see it, or you just like to be seen, so who knows? It's always from men, never any women, he said. I send it as it's all over the internet anyway. Okay, so I guess he just does it for free? He explained that he decided to cover up 8 tattoos he originally received while doing his service in the Royal Artillery. The initial graphics included a boat, a naked woman, the words mom and dad, as well as a geisha. Now, here's the thing, too, right? This guy definitely makes money from somewhere. I just don't know how he's making his money. Because to be this tatted up, well, here's the thing. I guess you could like kind of like cover it up to a certain extent. The only thing is like with his like head tattoos, it's going to be pretty hard for him to like have like a job. But I mean, if he's like working for himself, probably doesn't matter. Okay, so he owns the gym. Okay, that makes more sense. So he has his own business. So okay, then yeah, money. Him having to like rely on other people's opinions about how he makes his money, whatever. Like to get money doesn't really matter. Pays for himself, makes money himself. Recurring revenue with the gym. Okay, so money's not an issue. So he noted that he was desperate to veil them as well as signs of aging. I didn't like to look in the mirror and see my aging skin. I like to look young. I hated seeing varicose veins and wrinkles. It's horrible, he said. Houghton, who now lives in Spain and owns the gym, also loves to change up his existing art, revealing that he has altered the pictures on his abs so they can match with the rest of his body. This guy just likes to show off his body. Interesting. It was quite weird at first, but it made a lot of sense. It worked out perfect, really, he said. Houghton even loves the amount of attention his ink gets and isn't shy to talk to fans. Everyone loves the designs, and when I go walking with my dog, people stop me and want autographs. It's unbelievable, he joked. Interesting. Butts. People want to take pictures of me too, he added. How many people get stopped at my age to ask have a photo with them? Probably not very many. Houghton's bodily talents have also scored him a crown for the Northwest Coast Bodybuilding Champion in 1989. A good physiologist would have been cheaper. Some people are not only wasteful but stupid too. I don't get the appeal. I am not averse to tattoos. I have a few myself. However, when I need them covered, it doesn't take hours or tons of expensive makeup. Like, see, I think that kind of like makes the most sense to me. Is like if you were to go get tattoos, right? Why not get tattoos that you could just wear certain clothing or some like just something, right, that you could easily cover it up so that if you have like a very professional job or a very professional business, you don't just alienate a whole bunch of people or customers or whatever, right? Because I mean some people are going to be judgmental, and like any sort of tattoo might end up causing you to be fired, lose money, not get hired for certain things that you maybe want to be hired for. So it kind of sucks, but like it's something that you got to keep in mind. Now, for him, he doesn't necessarily have to care about that because he's a gym owner, but still. This person says, I just don't understand it. This person says, I hope he'd set aside enough funds for a liver transplant because he'll probably need one. Excessive ink is known to cause liver failure, which Japan's Yakuza gang leaders had found out the hard way. I hope this guy can line up a likely donor for a transplant too. Now, I think this really depends on the type of ink that is actually used. I think probably the quality of inks have gotten to the point where that may not really be that big of a risk. But I mean, if people want to spend their money and put their health at risk and do this with their own money that they've earned, then go ahead. Just don't put yourself in a bad situation. Giving that whole scene a hard pass. Not a fan of tattoos, but his are quite tasteful compared to most, and I must applaud his keeping in shape for his age. To each their own, I guess. Don't know how he could stand the pain down there. I once dated a woman who wore braces on her teeth. Ouch. Oh, I get it. He looks fit, but tribal tattoos when you're obviously not from that culture are a stupid look if you ask me. Seems a bit obsessive. 10K for almost whole body tats, but how much for the creatine to fluff up his canvas of muscles? Well, I mean, the thing is, if the guy owns a gym and is still very, pretty much fit for his age, like 60 something, he's probably spending a good amount on. Well, it really depends because if he's only using like testosterone, that's probably not that much money per month. But if he's using like growth hormone or some sort of other performance enhancing thing, as we've seen with like the Liver King who spent like 11K per month on just growth hormone, like it could get probably pretty expensive. But if he's just using like testosterone to stay younger and have muscle, like more muscle mass, I don't know, maybe a couple $100 a month, I'm guessing. No idea. Or it might be free piece of insurance. Let's see. Not my cup of tea, but hey, he looks good for his age. His boots don't seem to fit. Masculine dudes with tats are hot, but this freako clearly wants to live the prison life, especially if he accepts requests from guys to see his inked junk. Time to vomit. BRB. Like, here's the thing, right? In my mind, if you got, like, if you spend a good amount of money on tattoos, and people really want to see your tattoos, especially your junk, why not charge for it? Like, why not like recoup some of the money that you spent? Because you could probably spend more money on tattoos because you like tattoos. I don't get doing it for free. Let's see. Still old, wrinkly, and gross. Oh well. And here's the thing. Like, the only reason why I really wanted to like cover this because I just thought it was interesting to spend $10,000 on tattoos. Because I mean, I feel like that's a lot of, well, for a full body tattoo, that probably might not be even that much money. Because I think some like really good professional tattoos for like maybe like a sleeve or something might be like a grand, 2 grand. So maybe it's not that much money for a full body tattoo for someone to do. So if anyone stumbles upon this and they know more about tattoos, feel free to give your thoughts. But I just thought it was interesting.